There is no right or wrong content that you need to create. Just because the algorithm is prioritizing one type of content, or you think that you should be doing this because everyone else is doing this particular type of content, you don't need to do that. Work with your strengths and it's going to save you a lot of time rather than if you are constantly fighting against yourself to just get it done. Welcome to Imperfect Action. I'm Steph Taylor. For years, I read all the books, downloaded all the freebies, and did all the courses. But it wasn't until I started taking imperfect action that my business had its first $1 million year. Imperfect action is about doing things before you're ready, prioritizing consistent action over perfect action, and moving forward, even when you're not sure you're doing it right. On this show, you can expect mindset advice, actionable marketing tips, and strategies to build a business that brings you more profit, more freedom, and even more joy. Are you on the list to get my daily biz boosters? Every day, I'll send you a bite-sized prompt designed to help you grow your business in a more intentional way. Sign up at stephtaylor.co/DBB or at the link in the show notes. Hey, welcome back to Imperfect Action. This is episode 693. 5 simple tweaks to save time when creating and sharing your content online, because I know that this is something that holds a lot of business owners back from consistently showing up online on whatever platform it is, whether it's a podcast, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, wherever you are creating that content online. The amount of time that can be involved in creating content that is worth consuming can be such a big barrier to doing it consistently. And yet consistency with that content is one of the big things that will grow your audience, and not just grow your audience, but will also build that trust with them. Because if they can rely on you to consistently show up over time, then they are more likely to trust you. So here are 5 simple tweaks that you can make to save time with your content marketing. Number 1, you can save time generating content ideas by surveying or talking to your audience and asking them this one question. What 3 questions do you have about whatever your topic is? That question gives me so many content ideas. It's how I've made it to nearly 700 podcast episodes without running out of things to say yet. And then this way, you're creating content that meets them where they are at, and it gives them what they want and need from you as well. So every year, or twice a year now, I do a little simple survey where I'll ask them, what are your goals for this year? Or what are your goals for the rest of the year? If it's a mid-year survey, I'll ask, what are the things standing in the way of you achieving this? Like, what obstacles are there? How can I support you to achieve this? And then what 3 questions do you have about building a profitable online business? That's what I ask. It doesn't have to be a survey. It can be a conversation that you're having with an ideal client or student in your audience. It can be DMs. It can be via direct email outreach. It doesn't have to be in that survey form. For me, it helps me to get a really broad overview of where my audience is at in general, because I do have quite a large audience. Now, the idea here is that your audience is helping you to generate those content ideas rather than you always having to come up with new ones. Okay, simple tweak number 2. When it comes to content marketing, work with your strengths. If it takes you 4 hours to create one reel because you hate video and it takes you too long to edit it, don't do reels. If you hate podcasting and you put it off because you don't like talking into a microphone, don't start a podcast. But if on the flip side, you're really good at speaking into a microphone or you really enjoy talking, then maybe podcasting is a good fit. Or if you like to write, then write. There is no right or wrong content that you need to create. Just because the algorithm is prioritizing one type of content, or you think that you should be doing this because everyone else is doing this particular type of content, you don't need to do that. Work with your strengths and it's going to save you a lot of time rather than if you are constantly fighting against yourself to just get it done. Okay, number 3, stop trying to be everywhere online and stop trying to post every single day. Pick one main platform, not 7 different platforms. Okay, you don't need to show up everywhere every day. Not even on Instagram, okay? The algorithm doesn't favor people who are showing up every day anymore. You're better off showing up with quality content, but less often. And if you build it into your routine, so for example, every Monday you spend an hour outlining a podcast episode and recording it. then that's something that's now there every Monday. This is in your calendar. You are going to get it done. You're going to be able to show up consistently because growing your audience takes time and it takes consistency, but most people lose momentum and then they wonder why they're not seeing growth. And by choosing just one platform and being really consistent with that is better than trying to show up on 7 different places for a week and then giving up because you can't keep up with it because it's too much work. Number 4, repurpose your content as much as you can. So if you are a guest on somebody else's podcast, ask them if you can have a copy of the recording and share it on your show. If you have a podcast like I do, switch the camera on if you want to do video and then slice it up into little snippets and share it on Instagram and TikTok like we do. We turn each podcast outline into a carousel on Instagram. Each podcast episode becomes an email to the list as well. Each podcast episode gets transcribed and shared as a blog post. So the only real time that I'm spending on content creation is outlining and recording podcasts. And that's really it. The rest is my team now. My team help me to edit the little video snippets. They help me to write the emails. They help me to do all of the different pieces. But my strengths are outlining and recording the episodes. So that's what I do now. Even my daily biz boosters, which are daily emails that go out, they mostly come from other content that I've shared elsewhere. And then I or my team will rewrite them and share them. Right? And then sometimes when I feel like it, when I feel like it, I'll create extra content over and above what is coming from this core podcast content. And then number 5, ask yourself, what would this look like if it were easy? Okay. We have a tendency to overcomplicate all of it in business, especially content marketing. We think we have to do everything and that it has to be the most complicated process for it to work out. And it's actually really simple. And making it more complicated is setting us up to fail because we now have all of these different hoops we have to jump through and all of these different things that we need to do. So how can you make it easier? Pick out the bits of your process that you have that are feeling a little bit sticky. If you're finding it hard to write an Instagram caption, could you talk into a transcription app like Rev and then use that and edit that into a caption? Could you record a short video while you're out walking your dog in the morning or while you're waiting in your car at school pickup? So much of this is also about just accepting good enough. It's about not editing that reel 50 times so that it's perfect and accepting that the first round of edits, the ones that took you 10 minutes, not 4 hours, is good enough. It's not needing to edit your caption 100 times or your podcast, every little detail in the podcast. Okay, you can help a lot more people with content that is imperfect than you can with perfect content that is never shared anywhere. And then one final little bonus tweak, start a content ideas folder. So everything that happens around you can be content. All of the little funny stories, all of the little embarrassing moments, all of the mistakes you make, that can all become content in some form. You know, I was recently on a plane that got hit by lightning and I shared that story as a way to relate to the uncertainty of business. Everything can be content. Start a content ideas folder because you will have days when you don't have ideas for what to share. And this is where you can then pull them from. So there you have it. 5 little tweaks to save time with your content marketing. Talk to your audience. Get your content topics from your audience. Number 2, work with your strengths. Stop trying to be everywhere. Stop trying to post every single day. Repurpose your content to the max. Ask yourself, what would this look like if it were easy? And start a content ideas folder on your notes app or wherever it is. Okay, that is it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you have learned anything from this show so far, please take 30 seconds to leave a quick rating and a review. I read every single one of them. They mean so much to me. Thank you so much for listening. Catch you next time.